Hey, it's Adam here, and you're watching The Culture Hack, where we're talking about how to create engaged workspaces that unlock the potential of your teams and drive your business forward in ways you've never seen. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome everybody to The Culture Hack. I am super excited. My longtime friend and former training partner, Hamish Knox, has agreed to come on and impart some wisdom for us today. So Hamish, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me, Adam.
And Hamish, he is the owner of Sandler Calgary, and he's also the host of the Full Funnel Freedom podcast. So if you want to talk funnels and sales, you got to check that out. So Hamish, tell us a little bit about Sandler Calgary and then your podcast.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Adam. So Sandler, we are part of Sandler Global, which is the largest leadership and sales development company in the world, and we are supporting our clients in creating reliability, clarity, and precision in the revenue generating side of their organization so they can scale sustainably and consistently. And the podcast is comes out every Monday, wherever you find your podcast, and it really has two purposes. First of all, is to celebrate sales leaders, because sales leader has the hardest job in the organization, right? They're getting pressure from on high, they're getting pressure from their team. So they don't get a lot of places to be celebrated. So when I have a guest on, we're there to celebrate the success they've created through others and learn from their ideas and insights. And then it's also, the second purpose is to support the audience of sales leaders in creating sales funnels that consistently look like funnels instead of pencils or stomachs in an antacid commercial.
Love it. I love the visual, right? I can see the blue, right? Okay. Well, this is really interesting. You have, I think, a very unique perspective. You deal with a lot of people in the sales world, in the leadership space.
Mm-hmm.
So based on your experience, when people are talking about engagement, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
So for me, and it's one of the key things that we impart to the leaders we work with at all levels of the organization, whether it's the C-suite or whether it's a frontline manager in a large organization, is, do you understand each person's personal goals that report directly to you? Because our people work for us not because they love us or our business. They work for us because they believe that working for us is going to get to them to their personal goals faster than working for somebody else. And whenever they leave and they tell us it's more flexibility or a better title or more money or whatever, it's code for, I believe that going across the street and working for the other person is going to get me to my personal goals faster than working for somebody else. So the organizations that we support who have fully engaged teams, doesn't mean they don't have turnover, right? Because they're awesome people get poached, but they have fully engaged teams because the leader is tying achievement of corporate goals to achievement of each individual's personal goals.
I love that perspective. We talk so much about, the vision and what is the corporate, but we don't actually talk about what does the individual want. For some people, it might be happiness. For others, it could be more money, which then equals happiness. Whatever
Absolutely.
it is.
Absolutely.
So,
It's the same thing with entrepreneurs. Sorry to add to cut you off there. One other thing to add for entrepreneurs is most entrepreneurs start a business and they go, yeah, so I'm going to build this great business and I'll have no time with my family and my health will suck and I'll have zero hobbies. So when we work with entrepreneurs, we say, okay, tell you what's your personal life look like in 10 years? What's your ideal personal life? Now let's reverse engineer and build a business that supports your personal vision instead of you getting sucked into building a business that will eventually adversely affect the personal life that you want to have.
I love it. And it creeps up on you too. You start an entrepreneurial journey and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're working 60, 80 hours a week, right? Like
Exactly.
You don't know when it happened.
Yeah. And you're usually sleeping at the office because, well, you've probably been asked politely to go live somewhere else.
So we're talking about engagement, aligning these personal goals and working backwards.
Mm-hmm.
What are the themes or challenges that you see come up most often? Like, where are people getting stuck?
So it's in the treating our people as half of a person. So there's that, like, leave your personal life at the door and then, leave your work life. Well, work life always follows us, right? No, even, going back decades, work always followed us home, but we were always supposed to leave home at home. And the fact of the matter is that we support our clients as whole human beings, professionally and personally, and we believe the same for leaders, but especially leaders who have been trained technically. It's very much numbers driven, so, and lagging indicators. So did the project get done on time? Did we hit our revenue target? Did we hit our fundraising target? Those are all lagging indicators, and they don't actually look at the whole human being. So we're very big proponents of, number one, leading indicators that give us early warning signs that we may be off course. But number two is separating our team members' identities from their role performance. So no matter how good or bad we are performing as a husband, father, seller, project manager, whatever, that's separate from our worth as a human being. And I just did a talk about this at a networking group, and I shared a story from one of my Sandler colleagues who had a client, and this client had a frontline leader who had risen up from a frontline team member, and they were an awesome frontline team member. And as normally happens, you take an awesome frontline team member, raise them up to manager, and they aren't so awesome as a manager as they were on the front line. And this client had tried everything that they could think of to get this manager up to the standard that they needed to be at, and they were about to let them go. So they reached out to my colleague for support, and my colleague said, well, when you speak to them, remind them that this is a role conversation, not a self-worth conversation. And so the vice president, who was this manager reported to, started the conversation off by that. And by the way, HR's in the room, and you and I and everybody who's watching this knows that when your boss and HR's in the room, that's usually not a positive conversation. Yeah, so the VP said, I want you to understand before we get going, this is about your role performance and has nothing to do with your self-worth. You are a wonderful human being, and we're here to talk about how we can make you as awesome as you are as a human being, as you are in your role. And this person got up immediately, didn't say a word, got up immediately, went out and sat in the company parking lot for 25 minutes in their car, walked back in and said, I want to see the chief human resources officer. And of course, the VP is like, okay, do I need to get legal involved? Like, what's going on here? CHRO is found, comes, sits down with this manager, and the manager says, no employer in my entire career has ever told me I had worth as a human being that was separate from how I performed in my role. So that's what we need to do as leaders, is recognize wonderful human being, possibly a bad fit for the role. Doesn't make them worth any less, but when we tie their personal goals together and we leverage leading indicators, we can get that fully engaged team that gets us to the hockey stick that we're all hitting for.
I love that. You know, I've never had anybody put it in those terms of self-worth versus your roles. And I think I love that. That's very cool. So as we move forward into 2023, and you know, the technology is definitely not stopping. Hybrid work teams are here to stay.
Totally.
Even fully remote work teams.
Totally.
What do you see going forward? How are business owners, companies, sales leaders trying to foster and keep that engagement really high as they move into 2023?
A lot of them are trying to create standardized incentives, right? We'll pay you more money, or we'll give you more variable commission or compensation or whatever that might be. And those don't necessarily relate to, again, those personal goals. Also in sales, especially, and in pretty much every department, the tech stack is just starting to do this. And there's something like Jay McBain put out an article. I think the average tech stack is something like 12 deep now. And a lot of sales leaders and a lot of sellers, by the way, a lot of sellers go to the boss and like, listen, Adam, if you got me this piece of sales tech, I'm going to do this, man. And of course, the answer is that's an excuse, right? And then you buy the tech, and all of a sudden the performance doesn't raise. So we like to say to our leaders that if a seller comes to you and says, boss, I'd sell more if only, we say, okay, hey, fair. Let's pretend I did do that and your performance doesn't go up. What should I do? Or let's pretend that I don't do that. How are you going to hit your target? Because the target is the target. So either way, and then all of a sudden the seller goes, oh, I don't get to externalize my problems to my boss. I actually have to own my challenges. And there's a Sandler rule that says prospects buy for their reasons, not the salesperson's reasons. Same thing with a tech stack is our team members use the tech stack for their reasons, not our reasons. So CRM is an ongoing discussion, and I've talked to lots of leaders who have rolled out a CRM and it collects metaphorical digital dust because no one's using it. Because when it got rolled out, the leader rolled it out as, here's why it's good for me, as opposed to here's how it's going to support you, my sellers, in increasing your performance, getting to your personal goals faster. So as we go into 2023, let's add a little bit more humanity into our tech stack and make it about our team's success as opposed to what the payoff is to us as leaders.
I love that. It kind of brings it all together, right? Here's a
Absolutely.
great piece of technology. It's going to help you with your role, maybe help with that fit, maybe with the performance, which of course then ties into your own sense of self-worth, which of course we're going to try and keep it separate.
Yep.
And yeah, going forward, even though we are in some cases operating more virtually than we ever have before, let's be more human than we ever have in the past. It's kind of a cool conundrum there. So anyway, Hamish, I always appreciate your time, and I really love that you took a moment and shared some of these gems of wisdom. Really appreciate it, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for hosting me, Adam. It was great to see you.
Hey, thanks for watching The Culture Hack. Do you want to chat culture and engagement? Give us a call and come on the show.